and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And please remain standing for the invocation. Dear God, please bless our planning commissioners, grant them the courage and wisdom to do what is right for all citizens. Amen. Okay, roll call. Who's our recording secretary? Ms. Tracy?
It's going to be me.
Oh, going to be you, Dennis? Okay.
Yeah.
Dennis will be our recording secretary this evening.
Tracy?
Here.
Gary?
Here.
Brian?
Here.
Kevin?
Here.
Dennis? We have excused from.
We have a absence with Mr. Giacalone and Ms. Barr. Okay, the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes from last month? There were several edits proposed. Has anybody had a chance to review those?
So draft 2 is the most recent.
Draft 2 is the most recent addition. Any additional comments, edits? I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Can I make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll second.
Take a, any other further discussion after the motion? No? And we'll take a vote. All in favor, aye? Aye. Any nays? Okay. Any outside correspondence? I have not received any outside correspondence. Do you know of any?
I did receive 2. They were addressed to Andrea. And I think it was one from another community who was also doing their master plan.
Would that have been Armada?
Could have been. I know it was south of us.
Barring any other correspondence, any public comments? No public comments. Move on to late agenda items. Anything that we want to add to the agenda this evening?
I don't have anything, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Introduction. Public hearing, our proposed draft for the Almont Township Master Plan. Have our notice. This is our public hearing this evening. Any comments? Any?
Mr. Chairman, you need to open up the public hearing.
Oh.
704?
Oh, 704. We'll open the public hearing. Any comments from the attendees? Any?
Ida, this was published by 3rd of October?
Yes, it was published September the 25th. It was 15-day notice. Today would be the 15-day. So
When was it public notice?
it should have been in the September 25th,
Oh, okay.
Tri-County.
Good, okay. Then I'm just looking to, the 42-day requirement would put the second public hearing at our 13th November meeting. So that meets that 42-day requirement.
Barring any public comment, I would take a motion to keep the public hearing on the 13th of November meeting agenda.
I'll move to keep the public hearing open until the next planning commission meeting scheduled for the 13th of November, 2024, and that will meet the 42-day requirement. Review.
I'll second that.
Second.
I second.
Second? Oh, Tracy second.
Tracy.
I didn't see that. I apologize. Any discussion? Let's take a vote. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries. The public hearing will stay open until the next meeting. New business. Reliable compactor service proposed addition / repair. This is in regards to the area that was fire damaged some time ago. We have some proposals, plans and so forth to review. Any comments from any of the planning commissioners? Okay. Review the, Corey, I guess we have your review here.
Yeah, my review for this was pretty straightforward, as they're proposing to basically enclose an existing concrete structure or a concrete pavement area. I know at some time in the past, I think 2010, 11, somewhere in there was a fire. It was demolished at that point, and it basically has stood that way until now, until this proposal. Really, the only comments I had were just questions. I did not see in my packet, and they may have been submitted. And I haven't seen them. Typically need a building elevation, show how that is. And then on top of that, my only other question was lighting. If they're proposed to do lighting off of the building, that's something we'd have to look at, just to make sure it meets township requirements. But this is primarily a zoning issue, engineering-wise. There is not an impact to the site based on their building over concrete hard surface. So as far as an engineering standpoint, there is no issue. I didn't have an issue with the proposal.
Planner Alex?
Good evening, everyone. Tigers win, celebrate. So noted from my letter, I just want to add a couple things. As we know, the new plans that were provided the other day include the zone parcels that are adjacent to the site, as well as they bubbled in their desire to propose to add screening to the existing fence. So I'm not sure about the details of they are meeting zoning requirements. However, addition to the letter, I just want to continue on the letter, that is, and so we have the zoning of the adjacent properties. We do not have the elevations, and so the PCs determine if they wish to get the information regarding elevations of the building. Existing proposed topography, this information was not provided in the plan. However, I don't believe there'll be any changes to the site, so the PC could consider waiving that. Locations were not provided for a fire hydrant. Once again, soil borings, not sure if that's relevant or not. Information regarding surface drainage was also not provided, along with topography. Not sure if they plan on having any hazardous or dangerous materials on site. It'd be good to note that if they're not intending to have that, that would be noted on the site plan, that they will not be having any hazardous substances. And if they do, what lists do they have, and if they will be meeting any additional requirements. There's no development impact statement. or traffic impact statement. I'm not sure if the applicant feels as if there's going to be an increase in traffic based on bringing this building back, or an increase of capacity of any way, or intensity of the use. Regarding zoning compliance, table use requirements, it appears that the area between the building do not have the fencing, so they kind of addressed that, but I'm not sure what the details are. Building grades, there's no information. Storage in the front yard, there are a few items within the front yard setback south of the building, behind the fence, but the PC determines if whatever proposed fencing they're providing would be sufficient. And general landscaping, they've noted that the general construction number 7, note 7, will be revised to note the removal of items listed within the area of construction, not all on site. So just need some clarity regarding landscaping and what they're providing or proposing any bit of landscaping to the site. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
We have a representative from. Okay.
Just gonna call him.
Any, either you gentlemen care to step up and introduce yourselves? What, how you're connected to the project and so forth?
Edward Ignatowski, I'm the Vice President of Reliable Compact.
Okay.
And I'm Randy DePrey, the builder that will be building it, the repair.
I'm Rick Dumpler. I prepared the site plan. I could address the planner's comments. It would make it easier on the board.
Yeah, that was me, my next comment. If there's anything you want to address.
As Mr. Mayberry said, they're planning on replacing a building that burnt down quite some time ago right on top of the existing concrete slab. So we're not adding any additional water to the site, which addresses the first few on the planner's list, but I'll just run right down the list if everyone has it in front of them for the roads list here. We added the zoning of the adjacent properties. I don't have the architectural plans of what they're going to build. I'm assuming it's a pole barn style.
It's just cold
It's a
storage.
metal and
Cold storage.
block building.
Okay, so that I'm sure they'll have some plans that they could submit before getting their building permit.
These plans, right?
Those are the plans,
Oh, you
yes.
do have.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so number 6, existing and proposed topography. What we did out there was we did fly that with our drone and take kind of a current, so it's not a Google Earth image, but a current picture of the site that shows the features of the site, shows the trees, shows kind of where the buildings are, and that's all to scale, so you can scale. It's kind of like doing a 2-dimensional topographical survey. Since we're not adding any surface drainage or anything, we don't need to spend additional money for them and, show the contour lines. So I guess we're asking for a little leniency from the planning commission on that. There are no fire hydrants out there, so I wasn't sure exactly on that one. There's no public water.
There's no water main, so
Yeah.
that's not applicable.
So I didn't add, I could add a note there if you guys would like, if there's no
Yeah.
existing water main. That takes us down to 9P. Soil borings, I guess that would be up to you guys or the building inspector, whether you require that from them. Since there was a building already there and it stood, it didn't fall down, I'm assuming that it's probably not as important as like new construction on virgin earth.
Okay. And that designed your footings that you're cutting concrete to put footings? in?
Correct.
That's the assumption. Because are there footings under this old building or is it slab? Oh, there is.
Yes.
Yeah.
42 inches?
We're assuming they're 42 inches. We don't know.
Okay.
There might be some additional footings added.
Yeah, I see
And
that on your print.
yeah,
Okay.
if we do see anything that's indicating to us that soils are bad, we will call McDowell out, soils engineer, to do a test.
So it takes us to 9Q. Surface drainage and drainage plan, we've kind of covered that. Drainage calculations where it's already impervious surface there, will still be impervious, no additional water. And feel free to stop me if anyone has a question. I'm just looking at the sheet here, so. 9R, location of storage, use, and disposal areas, if any, for hazardous substance. I don't know your guys' business.
No hazardous substances.
So 9S, list of hazardous substances, we can add that to the site plan, that none will be stored on site.
You can add that to the site plan?
Yeah, I'll put a note on there.
Okay, thank you.
Section 4.4, for the impact statement, do you guys think this will add additional traffic to the?
No.
It's cold storage. I mean, it's just-
No.
As you can see, they need as much inside space as they can get there, so. 4.5, see a separate checklist for traffic impact, same thing, no new traffic impact on it. Zoning compliance, taking us down to 8.7, table of use requirements, the storage portion of the site except that used for display purposes for such use shall be in an area enclosed by an improved masonry wall or obscuring fence. They currently have obscuring fence on the south end. It's kind of like a green netting or whatever. I'm assuming they had it in between the buildings and it probably fell down over time. So I put on there that you would replace that section between the buildings. So if the PC is okay with that, that's what we're proposing is screening. There's already a fence there. If you look to the south, it's like that green screening netting. That's what we're proposing to just continue, look back, I guess what's probably there. But that's what's labeled on the site plan to do is to put that screening back.
This is a pole barn style construction? Correct?
Basically what was
Yeah.
freestanding.
Okay.
This will be metal though. It's not going to be built out of wood. It'll be
Pardon me?
it'll be a metal
Correct.
and block building.
Steel
yes.
frame. Steel frame.
Yes.
Okay, steel frame. All right.
So building grades, again, information's not provided because the site is already flat and had a building on it. Storage in the front yard, what he's referring to there, if you look on your site plan at the southeast corner of the site, there is some, looks like some little storage buildings or something. I'll open this up, the south of an existing building. It appears that the front yard setback line has changed since this site was originally developed. So what we're referring to, I think, and Alex, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're referring to the southeast front of the site here, there's a little storage that runs over the front yard setback. So see the new 110-foot front yard setback that runs kind of through the middle of the buildings. I'm assuming when the site was built, there was an 80-foot front yard setback and everything complied at that time. But now we have this little storage area here that crosses over. We're not proposing any change to that. It's screened pretty well. I don't think that the average person would see it, whether we slide it back, whatever that is, 30 feet. Will that make a big difference? I don't know. So,
But you're screening it. It
it's
looks
already
like-
screened. That's
Oh,
the
it's already
spot that already has it screened, yeah. But
Oh, I see.
Alex is doing his job and pointing it out, so you guys can make a call on that. But really, what I think, correct me if I'm wrong, what you're saying is they'd have to slide that back to 30 feet to the new front yard setback line, right? Is that
Sorry?
the southeast corner here, that storage area that you have on your sheet, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, I mean, PC can determine if, I mean, as is, it's, you know, that setback would be non-conforming, so I don't think we can look back, but, you know, there's always setbacks between ag and industrial. In this case, I think the PC needs to determine if they
Oh, we're
want.
talking on the south property line.
Yeah. Are you talking about south property line, or are you talking?
I thought it was the front yard setback.
Well, that's existing, so it's a legal nonconformity, because I'm sure the setbacks have moved back from that time. But if it's legal or not, or illegal nonconformity, it's just an existing
It's the
conformity.
south still, right?
We own the piece to the south and the piece to the north.
Yeah, so Reliable owns a piece to the south that this would be impacting at the time, so I don't.
But it's still a different district though, and they
Right.
would have to join the properties together and go through that assessing process, because if they do own that, we don't know that, but if you're saying that they do own a piece or all of it along that south property, but you have existing storage in the setback, and then going back on the fence, it needs to be determined by the PC if the fence you have is sufficient considering the screening requirements in 7.2. Talk about walls, berms, green belts. So they have to make a judgment call on if some sort of screen material would suffice for fencing.
This is ag and that's industrial, so that pushes it back. So I guess they're asking for leniency on that.
So this here is just a mobile storage unit. We can slide it back to wherever,
Yeah.
the red building.
I guess they're asking to continue to use their site as they've been using it and put up their building the way it was if they could. Did I get through the list? Oh, one more item, landscaping. There's no new landscaping proposed. The front of the building is pretty well landscaped, and the fences are screened. So they just want to put their building back and not add any landscaping if they don't have to. So.
It would be behind the building. It wouldn't be visible from there.
Right, yeah. Any questions?
As far as that, excuse me, as far as that parcel that's, I guess to the south, that's zoned AR, ag, residential, how many acres is it? How many? Yeah.
What's going in south of that now? Are they digging a big pond? What's that? So did they get changed in zoning or is that still ag down there? Do you guys know?
It's a storage unit.
It's a storage unit
It's a
facility.
storage unit.
Did they rezone that to?
Yeah.
Oh, the storage
Yeah.
unit.
So I'm assuming this would be master plan to be industrial. This ag piece would be master plan to be industrial at some point. So I guess they're really asking to leave it now if they could, right? Rather than make it to an ag use and then have it rezoned a few years down.
So I guess I see two issues, the building elevations, and you've agreed to add the no hazardous materials to the site plan.
You say elevations, you talking vertical, you talking?
Yeah.
That's why I'm gonna go back to Corey on that. So, not the building elevation, yeah,
Building elevations.
yeah.
Not grade elevations, but exterior of the proposed building.
And that's a zoning.
That's range.
Right.
And that is a zoning requirement. You would have to provide that as part of your building permit. And typically these are perfectly fine, but typically you'd have a building elevation set. And then also if it's not submitted, that means there would be zero lighting on the back of that building. So as what's presented here. So when you bring the lighting, just show what lighting fixture you're gonna have on that at that point, because if it's something like the back of it, or it's just gonna be.
There would be no lighting on the back of the building. The lighting goes through the center of the property where all the trucks used to park. That's got lighting going down through.
So there'd be no building mounted lighting?
No.
Okay, so the statement that was in here about no additional lighting is for everything, not, because sometimes you say that for the parking lot, and then you put, mounted light, floodlighting type on the building, which would be permitted here, but if it's not part of the plan, then it's not.
No, these are on existing down through the center of the property.
Okay, so no lightings on the proposed building that you're doing here, except maybe next, if there's next to a door, if you have a typical.
It's emergency lighting door.
Yeah, that's something that's fine. But yeah, really, if that's the case, if there isn't any lighting, that goes away, but the building elevations is it's typically submitted with site plan.
And the idea there, Corey, if I understand, is to try to, I don't know how easy it's gonna be, to match the existing building to,
To give the planning commission a period, or general idea of what's gonna be, if it's gonna be a steel building, or you look at, and I don't know, the criteria being the back of this building. I know the front, there's different criteria with facing the road as far as material. But yeah, they want to make appearance, is it gonna be a standalone, what it is, or it's gonna match, or it's gonna be similar material, different color?
Match the building.
It's just basically what's gonna go in there. It's pretty lenient on what it is, with just kind of a checklist item on the submittal. Here's what we're proposing, here's the colors, here's the material.
So I guess they would be asking for maybe approval with a couple of contingencies of adding providing the building plans, adding the no hazardous materials. Was there anything that I missed on there? There's hazardous materials, building plans.
landscape.
There are quite a few other items, but these are items that the planning commission can waive if they're considering.
Right.
that, so.
Or asked information. So this is zoning. I'll answer some of these. Just need elevations. We need to understand details of fencing. Like I said, hazardous material to be noted on the site plans. Anything else to PC, Vice Chair, of what you guys want to know more about the site.
One thought with what Alex had mentioned the applicant mentioned the screening. Typically, I see the one area they mentioned that, but this is, and I'm not familiar with the gate. But there is a solid, basically a chain link gate that goes across there. Typically, anything that's in the front would be screened. So that area and the gate, so you can't see back into the yard, and that is fairly standard. So anything facing Van Dyke at a minimum would be screening, whether it's the landscaping, the masonry wall, or obscuring fence if they approve something like that. But it would be anything that's facing the Van Dyke coming back, not just, if it's
There
a
is one
gate.
section that's, the tarp is torn, but we can fix it. That's not a problem.
But that's just, it's noted on here. Just want to make sure it's clear that it would,
Right.
the screening applies to the entire gates, everything that goes.
I'll add an additional note to the site plan, the same as the other one, so it's, I guess that's clear power on that one.
So let me understand that the notes on the site plan will address the screening.
Screening to hazardous materials. I think those are the only two issues other than, the building elevations will take care of the other questions, but that's, Randy will provide those. And I guess anything else you guys want to see on there?
Questions?
Sidewall height on that building is proposed to be what, fellas? The height of the sidewall on the proposed building?
It's 18 feet overall. 18 feet, I believe, overall. I think we've got, a 6 foot, there's a 6 foot cement foundation there now.
Okay.
And then we're just adding on to that, going above that.
Comparable to the building that is in front of it.
Correct.
Right,
Well-
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna be blending the roof in. We're not going any higher.
Okay.
We're not going any higher.
No,
We're not going.
Not in the existing roof.
No.
I think we were 4 foot below, I think.
Yeah, I can't remember if we were. Yeah, we
It
were
was 4 foot below. the
4 foot
existing.
below existing.
So I guess the two contingencies that you've covered on the site plan will be the screening and a note regarding hazardous materials. The dealing with the elevations, building elevations. Corey, could that be addressed by our building department? Or how do we?
You can do that contingent on providing building elevations that meet township requirements. Well, they would review that also, but that would, if it's a contingency, it would come back to be reviewed by Alex, myself, and the planning commission chair. And just like any other contingencies, unless you require them to come back, contingency will still come back to the commission's whole. You can do that also. But typically, if they're
Typically, it's actually the staff, not the PC chair. It goes away from you guys and comes to staff.
So it'd be the three of
Contingency.
you two and the
So-
chair.
But I wanted to talk more about the fence. So they're doing outdoor storage. There's all kinds of stuff on the site. The PC, if you look on page 823 of the zoning ordinance for outdoor storage, whatever, all their equipment, there's a required masonry wall. There isn't a wall there or obscuring fence. So there's a fence. It's a question of obscuring or not for them to come into compliance with the zoning ordinance.
So that's over and above the east facing fence, Alex?
I'd like to know more about the fencing around the property. This is the time for the planning commission to address these issues. as the applicant said, they're proposing some sort of screening mesh material. And that, if that's suffice for the PC, it's for you guys to decide.
So you're proposing to screen the entire chain link fence all the way around? Is that what you're proposing?
I was just gonna go,
East side.
Just the east side?
Yeah, which if you drive by there, it's already on the east side.
Right.
There's a piece missing between the buildings, and then the gate has been brought up too, so that's what we're proposing. I'm assuming most of you didn't know that all that stuff was back there.
Yeah.
You know, until
Yeah.
the photo.
So there's, to the north of you is a field before you get to, oh, yeah, right, okay. I had you in the wrong place.
And south is wooded and in the storage units.
And,
Yeah,
This is similar to, in my mind, it's similar to the Smith's basement waterproofing situation where they've got all that back there too, you know, but you don't really know when you drive by there that's all back there. So.
To the south of you, you had mentioned that there's Jimmy's storage going in there, but it looks like there's a parcel between you and Jimmy's storage that's currently ag residential, and that is, you said you currently own that, correct?
10 acres we own there. Yeah.
Okay.
And we own 20 acres to the north.
Directly north, or is it?
directly.
Correct. Should be a 40-acre parcel, all 4 parcels.
so you own property to the north and the south of what's fenced?
Correct.
Well, thank you for coming in. We'll have our discussion. And appreciate it. If, Dennis, did you get their names?
No. Could I have
Would
your
you,
names?
yeah, would you guys mind giving,
Thank you.
I know.
I thought so.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
They haven't made a decision.
Well, I guess,
Well, I mean, not taking your notes. I didn't want to interrupt you while you're taking notes.
no, I'm good.
I guess we'll open it up for discussion among the planners. Any further comments, questions?
I guess the only two contingencies, well, there's actually three contingencies, I guess, that I'm seeing. I'm satisfied that the screening on the Van Dyke side, fixing the gate, is that what you gotta do? I'm satisfied with that. The contingencies I'm seeing, he's gonna hit the site plan for the HAZ materials. And what was the other one for the?
Elevations?
Elevations for the building.
And fixing the gate on the screening.
And also on the east side, they need to fix that, or they need to show what they're going to be using for screening. You have to approve
Be
that.
green or a fence.
Yeah, just on the east side. Or on the south side, there's a,
On the south side.
South side.
I'm sorry, on the
East-
south side.
East they're
Yes.
fixing.
Yeah, there was a section that they have to take care of.
Go ahead.
So I think on the south side.
Yeah.
They're storing stuff up to the fence now, which is not allowed because the piece itself is owned agriculture.
Mhm.
But the piece out of that is all industrial for the new storage facility. I'm assuming master plan wise, you wouldn't want an agricultural piece in the middle of those two industrial pieces, so I don't want them to move their stuff to the ag setback when I hear it will be rezoned industrial or whenever it will be, was my thought there.
No, I'm not stating that the stuff has to be moved. I'm just stating that there's a fence there that you had indicated there's a section there that the screening has fallen or
That's on
something.
the east side.
That's on the east side?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So there is, Dennis, a problem with, as Alex brought up, that there's a buffer zone here that's being encroached due
Oh,
to
for
the
this-
ag to the south
Because of the setbacks.
because of the setback. So how do we want to handle that?
Vice Chair, I also had also in the screening, that's still ag, master plan is.
It hasn't been rezoned yet.
It's not rezoned, it's ag, and so any ag use can go in there, and
Yeah.
that needs to be screened away from lesser intense districts. So.
So their option is to move that storage stuff inside the setback or run the screening all the way to the
Well-
west?
I mean, we have a site that is non-compliance with the zoning ordinance. I don't have the records. This happened when it happened. But we have a fence that's on the property line that, generally that wouldn't be there, but it is now. So I think a good alternative, we're in the gray area here, rather than having them move a fence or do something like that, let's move the material off of it, off the lot line, let's screen it in. It's next to ag, and that should suffice. It's my,
It's the least intrusive
least intrusive,
option.
right.
So you're saying run the
Screen
screening
south.
on the fence,
South fence. And
south fence,
And honor that buffer zone.
the 20-foot setback.
All right. Thoughts, Tracy? Anything else, Gary? Brian? We could entertain a motion to move forward with contingencies or table it till next month. With more information.
So you guys could add that to the site plan, screening the south fence and acknowledging and the buffer zone of the 20-foot setback to move that material out of there?
Do you want to add a note to the site plan, screen the south fence and remove the storage back to the side yard setback line? Okay.
The whole south fence. Okay.
Yeah, because ag residential. Once the site plan is updated, it will come back to you, Cory, and the chair, or just.
No. So if you're gonna do administrative contingent upon approval, it just goes to staff. You're saying the PC is good, we know what they're gonna do, we just want the staff to double check, so it'd be ourselves and I in that case.
Okay.
But if you guys wanna have it come back and make sure everything's there, then that's for you guys to table it for the next meeting if you want.
The planning commission chair would sign the plan.
Yep.
As an official
acting chair, I'm going to refrain from making a motion, so.
I'll move to approve the site plan for Reliable Compact Services, job number 240503 SP, revision 2, dated October 8th, 2024, showing the proposed building addition on the existing site plan, contingent upon adding a note regarding hazardous materials, provide building elevations, address the screening on the south fence adjacent to the ag residential zoning, and honor the south setback requirements with the material storage shown on the plan, screen on the site plan.
East fence too. The east fence.
Support
The east fence as well. The east fence screening as well.
east and repair the east fence screening and meet those requirements.
Support it.
Support.
Take a roll call vote. Oh, further discussion. I think it's been hashed to death. Any further, take a roll call vote. Tracy?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Kevin? Yes.
Yes.
Dennis? Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Thank you.
Next item, oh, I put my agenda in the wrong spot. Next item on the agenda is, I can't. Vintech, and anybody from Vintech here? Okay. What the hell did I do with my agenda? Talk more about it. Come on up, sir. State your name, company, so forth.
My name is Jim Rakia. I'm with Superior Contracting Group. George was unable to make it today,
Okay.
so we stand in.
Okay, so what open items do we have for our friends at Superior Contracting and Vintech? We have information from Mr. Corey.
I do not have a review on this one. This was some confusion on my part as to when this application's entirety was in and reviewable. That being said, with this addition, again, it's very similar to the other one engineering wise. It's much smaller. It is going over existing hard surface. And in that area, when we went through the previous Vintech edition, where they did a detention pond and everything, I did cover this area we bring back to the detention pond. So I am familiar with the area. Unfortunately, I didn't get everything together for a review, but I'm not, engineering wise, there's not any concerns for the 1,400 square foot addition that it's putting in there.
And I know Mr. Alex had some comments here, if I can find them.
Yeah, I think just to summarize my comments is just, building elevations, material is going to match the building as it is. That's there already, and that's, if they can depict that or add that to the minutes of the meeting or whatever it is, and we're talking about a tiny, tiny
I thought we had,
addition to this building. This is,
pictures of that. I don't happen to see
I,
them. Yeah, I don't have
Yeah.
those.
That
That's
was,
it,
that just, I just got that yesterday.
Okay.
yesterday, yeah.
Somehow I missed them. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, so this has been a problem with this little project that did not meet didn't even come close to meeting submission requirements, and like Corey's kind of left in the dark here a little bit, other than the fact that he's familiar with the site. I understand it's a small job, but that doesn't mean we compromise our requirements. So what was your other problem, Alex?
I think just for me, it's just, this is a small addition to a building. There's some things that aren't on the site plan, given the existing site. Those are some items that the PC can waive that's not relevant to what you need to know. But I think the most important thing to me is just material and elevations, and that, matching the existing structure. I think that's the most relevant things to the PC to know. And if there's any way this can affect drainage, not really sure, but I don't suspect it to affect any road drainage to this.
Information to move forward yet.
I agree with you, Kevin. I'd like to have something in writing from Corey. I understand the timing. This has been information that's been coming in the last, in fact, even today, yesterday. We could table it.
I would accept, or I would entertain a motion to table it until next month and finalize all these plans. You have any questions, Tracy or Gary, Brian?
I agree with you.
At this point. Brian?
No comment, no.
Make a motion to table this until our November meeting.
Second.
I did, Brian.
Oh, thank you.
Don't believe this requires a roll call vote. I would just like to,
Add to the motion. It's fine.
just so you understand why it's being tabled, this is just, although it's a small program, a small project, there's just a lot of unknowns, and without bringing Corey into the loop till the last minute, I don't think it's fair to the board to try to make a decision based on.
Do you guys need extra information or just need more time to review? Or-
Well, the plans appear to be lacking in detail as far as the type, style, building material, siding, front side rear elevations. I don't know that the topography is of necessity. The hydrant locations are not of a necessity because they don't exist. Soil borings, I don't think is a necessity. It's basically all of the appearance and engineering items that are not brought forth to our engineering staff and our planner. That summarize it?
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Plus, like I said, the information it didn't meet our submission requirements, and even the planners and our professional planner, engineer, and the members of the planning commission are seeing this stuff at the last minute, very last minute. Some of the stuff came in yesterday, Ida. Some of it came in today. It gives us an opportunity to take a look at that stuff in more detail and come back with questions.
No, I think if we have that additional information, and if, what is it, a week before the planning commission meeting that's required?
Yeah.
If you want the planner and engineer to review it, it should be in by next Wednesday to give the planner and engineer allowable time, sufficient time to review it and get back to you as to what they're still missing or
Okay.
they're not seeing
Right.
that is required. And I think with the applicant that was before you, you can learn a lot. There's a lot you need. You can put on your plans that would address some of these things. But you still have to wait till you have the planner's review, but we do not have an engineer review.
Okay.
I just want to see the elevations. What kind of building, I mean, I'm sure it's going to match it. I just want to see that for the plans.
Yeah, it's,
Basically these with comparison to color, material, because these show a representation of building height, but that's really it. So if these are cleaned up to show the typical material, like they requested for the last applicant, the material, color, it's supposed to match. If it's not, if it's a different color, whatever, just, these are the base. I just have that information on it.
so you want the elevation, color, material, right?
The elevation don't necessarily have to be in color. It helps, but just denoting the material and color type and stuff like that.
Can't put down match existing building, it doesn't count. Well, no.
Yeah, as long as you say color, if it's a, gray metal, to match existing. It doesn't have to be over, but it has to be something that can be represented, that they know this is what your plan is. It's not gonna be neon green, whatever, a red stripe or something, so.
Revise your motion instead of saying our November meeting until the applicant has provided the,
Okay.
that way we're not pinning him down in November.
To November,
He can
okay.
take till January if he wants, and then, see, like Ida is saying, in order to meet those requirements, he's gotta have this stuff in by next Wednesday. Is that right, Ida?
Yes, it
Right,
will
so
give
you want
the planner and the engineer at least 3 weeks' time to review it, get their comments back, and maybe perhaps time for them to make any changes that they need to make.
So, I'm just suggesting.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Are you good with that, Brian?
Still
I still second.
support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries. Okay, sir. I think you have some tremendous resources here. If you guys have any questions,
Oh, yeah, no, definitely.
absolutely reach out.
Thank you for your time and your help.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. At this time, we recognize the students from Almont. I'm assuming you're all from Almont High School. If you'd like to come up and we'd sign your papers. And did you learn anything? Did you just stay awake? Did you learn anything? Do you have any questions? Any comments? Okay. I was gonna make a mistake for the whole thing.
You're welcome. Thanks for
Good night.
coming. You're welcome. Good luck.
Signature?
You're welcome. Thank you for coming.
Okay.
No? Okay, everybody's.
Thanks.
On to old business, solar farms, open discussion. Did you send out a draft of a,
Yeah.
do you have copies of it? Because I did not, I saw the email, but I did not get a chance to print it out.
Michael, that quarterly, paper here, so you can read it too.
Thank you.
We have one for everyone.
Got it, Alex. Oh, I like this one's color.
That's his favorite subject, I know that.
Thank you.
'Cause I have the old one.
Alex, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I have that.
I know you don't want to miss out. Oh, come on, you want the colored copy. Oh, you got one.
Yeah, I got a color copy.
Extras, anyone want extras?
That's the same.
Okay.
I got a pretty good file.
I just want to back up, Vice Chair, just for 1 second before we get into one controversial topic. I think, I know we made a motion for 60-day, two-day review. I would like to make it for a 63-day review, the full-blown review, given that there isn't sufficient. I've talked to my friends at the Michigan State Extension, MAP, and so on and so forth. It's kind of semantics of what's a 42-day and a 63-day.
You're talking about the master plan?
Master plan. I say this just because of the fact that it comes up to the holiday, get the notice out, moves it back, and go to your regular meeting, because there's so many changes to the plan for the most part, that if we do a 63-day review, I think we'll have no issue with any sort of compliance, particularly from the county. So, you know, I have
I'm sorry, was that 62 or
63
63?
from
Okay.
42, yep. So that would move it back another 2 weeks-ish, well, 20 days. So that would be right up against your regular meeting in
December?
December, which would be the 2nd, I believe.
Wednesday?
So I want to make sure that all the other neighboring authorities have plenty of time. Because if they feel as if they don't, and say this should be a 63-day review, you know, we put ourselves in a slightly gray area. There's no one that really can say 62 or 63. I just would recommend that we do the full 63-day for this, for one basic thing, is the fact that this is a different plan, not with our neighbors to the south or within the community, that it's just a different plan. So I've talked to folks between the conference and emails and calls, and it's a kind of a gray area. If you had the same plan, change 2 or 3 little minor things, it warrants a 62-day review because nothing's changed. But considering that we've rewritten the whole thing, you did have a plan. Now the difference is you did have a plan, and now you've changed the plan. So for that being stated, I think a 63-day review, the full review, makes you in full compliance with anything out there that could be provided.
How did we amend the record for this evening?
Okay, I have a thought. You tabled it to November 13th.
Yes.
Come November 13th, you extended it until December. And that should cover you, right?
Well,
Unless you, I mean, they'd have to go
You could
back and
make-
change the motion.
you could, I mean, we're still in a public hearing, so you could just say, I'm open to the public hearing and make notes and just put it in the meeting minutes. And the resolution says 63 days. So you're just extending it. You're not cutting any short.
We'll have to reopen the meeting.
If you wanted to, for meeting minute purposes.
Well, they didn't close it. They left it
You didn't
open.
close it,
We
yeah.
didn't
I
close
mean, you could just, you know, readjust, because I have items here from MTA, as you guys all know, and I have items here from Michigan State Extension, talking to folks at Michigan State Extension, talking to the other folks out there, you know, what constitutes 42 and 63. And I am one that likes to be more cautious for that reason, because the county or the neighbors or whoever else may say, no, that's a full change plan. I want 63 days to review because they get plans in front of them. So I think it's better to do that as opposed to doing 42 days and running to an issue at that meeting.
So you still could come to November 13th and just say, we're going to keep the,
We're going to keep it open for an
for
additional.
till, yeah. And that would
So
give you the
don't have
63.
to cut off at 63 days. I mean, that's just a minimum for them to
That's the
provide
minimum.
feedback, comments. You could have the meeting at day 70 or whatever it is.
So how do we put it in the minutes tonight that says to the effect, we're going to revisit it at the November meeting, but extend it to the December meeting?
It's just a matter of the recording secretary adding a note under the public hearing that, we'll revisit November 13th.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah,
The current motion reads 42 days, meets the 42-day requirement. That's the
right.
current motion.
So if you're going to extend it another 11 days or 21 days or whatever it is, then just put a little note in there saying discussion was held on possibly extending it until December, which is not a lie. I mean, that's exactly what we're discussing, but you can put that up there. So it's all together.
I'm amenable to that. I don't see a reason, but there's,
The only thing I'm a little confused about is when does the clock start ticking on that? I mean, you've got a list of Attica Township, Muncie Township, K-PAC
Tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Yeah, so
But
tomorrow.
is it a point at when they receive copies of the master plan, or is it a point when we open up the master?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes. What we do is we take that, you made a motion today that you had your public hearing, so tomorrow is when my team sends out the letters dated with tomorrow's date and the draft of the plan, and it gets sent out to them.
So have you sent out the master plan to the
No,
county?
You guys
MDOT?
have your public hearing right
yeah,
now.
we have to
Okay.
do we have to do this
So it goes
first.
right after
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm still confused as to when the clock starts on the 63 days. Tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yeah. It goes out.
When they're postmarked tomorrow.
Yeah. Postmarked,
So the 63-day review starts tomorrow. We're not talking December then, are we? Are we?
You could have a special meeting. You could just have a special meeting to do that. That's what communities do. So if you want, some communities try to make it fall exactly on the regular meetings.
Well, yeah.
Other ones say, look, we have, because it's 63 days. It's just the number the state came up with, and we all live with it.
I'm fine with that. I just trying to get the logistics taken care of so that I know
Yeah.
when it doesn't start when we notified the public we're having a public hearing. It starts after today's public hearing.
You guys can go with 42 days if you want. You might get some pushback because they're going to say this is a different plan.
I'm just
So,
trying to
yeah.
see, I don't have any problem with 63 days.
Okay.
Okay.
We've done similar, in some communities I've been in, it's not my involvement, but I've been at the meetings, where they've canceled, if it comes a few days, they've canceled their scheduled meeting, whatever month. And then the next motion had it scheduled a new meeting to meet that day. So you can do a separate meeting just for that, I've seen that. Or you can cancel and set a new meeting for that month, if you gotta move it by 3 days or a week or something. That has been done. And I don't know what the days fall on, but I know I've worked in communities where they've done that before to meet the requirements.
So the 63 days will start on 10 October 24. Okay.
Seems reasonable. Okay.
And that way, it just, you don't come up against Thanksgiving and the whole bit too, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Solar. We're moving fast today, now we're gonna start moving a little slow, so.
I'm all in favor of that.
I have to say, record time for 3 site plans and a public hearing, 2 site plans, that is. Kevin, you're the new guy, sorry, I'm kidding.
Well,
So what we have here, what I've tried to do for you guys is add some comments, further comments, and some potential, revisions to what may be your solar ordinance text amendments. Before I get into this, I just want to talk to you guys a little bit for those who weren't there. I don't believe anybody was there. I know Andrea went last year. But like I said, there has been a lot of debate and discussion all over the state of Michigan about what this new law means. How do you come in compliance with it? What do you do? How do you do it? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And there was an excellent session by Eagle and a researcher from the University of Michigan we put a session together at MAP conference in Grand Rapids a couple weeks ago. And it was pretty much the session all of us practitioners have been kind of waiting to hear and see. So I think I don't want to go through the whole thing of what they talked about, but I'm going to bring out the most important things. There is, like I said, a limit of megawatts based on 50, 150 for solar, wind, and battery storage. I know right now we're focused on solar. And there are state requirements for if they're above that, they can, a project can go to the state. They just meet the minimum state requirements and they can get approval. You can have a zoning ordinance that meets the state requirements and they just check off those boxes like they would in any other process of site plan approval, and they can go through your local level or go through the state level. Now, projects that are below 50 megawatts have to go through your process, your local process, which is what you have right now, and possibly whatever the proposed text amendments that the notes I've added in here. A large project can go to the state, or they can choose to go through your process as well. But at any point, they can say, look, your zoning ordinance is non-compliant. And that's a gray area. So the gray area becomes, you're compliant with the state, you comply with this CREO thing, which is pretty much the same thing as the state. There is a workable zoning ordinance and there's a non-workable zoning ordinance, both of which are in the gray area, which everything that you guys have or would have or could have is technically in the gray area. So we are, for better or for worse, we are, all of us, not just you, don't feel singled out, are kind of working in a gray area of what is what. Now, what I mean by gray area is there's no requirements for like screening at the state level. However, you guys have some screening stuff in here, right? They could say that is a workable ordinance. They could say that's a non-workable ordinance. All those things we do not know. The courts will hammer it out because there will be possibly in the coming years, maybe sooner, maybe later, a court case that goes up to the state about what that is. However, at the same time, I'm not sure why it would go to the courts, because if there's a project of a certain size, why don't they just exercise their right to go to the state and get approval that way? So here we are in this multiple choice, choose your own adventure kind of scenario. These are the kind of words I'm making up, right? So what I have done, I've taken the liberty, based on your guys' request, is to add a few comments and suggestions into your existing zoning ordinance, which has some pretty good things, I have to say. It's not bad, but there's some things they may want to remove and add, and that's what I have in here. I think this will give you at least the ability to play ball, no pun intended. Just if an applicant comes in your way, you have an ability to at least address these things and make it equal opportunity for the applicant, as well as protection for them and protection for the community as a whole as to what you'd want to see. Now, we can talk about these things. We can work through this over the coming months if you wish to. It's up to you, but I know there's a lot of things in here, but it kind of matches up to what I think they're just good additions. So it's just a little more well-rounded in my view. And the other thing is too, generally this would be a project for most communities. I would come in, it'd be like a master plan, this whole text amendment. I just kind of went ahead and just did it for you guys, just a regular couple hours of work instead of a big old project.
Sure.
How many acres is 15?
Yeah, that's a great question. Once again, we don't know. Right now, they're saying it could be between 40 and 80 acres. It's just based on technology. So it's like, well, that's wonderful. I mean, in 5 years, or 10 years, 50 megawatts could be 10 acres because they're just higher performing stuff. So we don't know. Nobody knows.
What's 50 today,
Except roughly, based on what kind of panels you have, it could be anywhere from 40 acres to 80 acres.
What was the?
So
The Millie plant in up here,
the
that's 48 megawatts, 250 acres.
but that's an old technology.
That's an old technology.
And so now it's different. We had a lady that, like, on Tuesday, I have a public hearing for Chesaning for the DTE, and that's 173 acres.
That facility is about 8 years
13 sites on
old.
20 parcels. Is that-
That facility is about 8 years old, I think.
And they have tremendous setbacks.
Here is 8 years old? Yeah, that's in my notes that when we were over there.
Yeah. They have tremendous setbacks that are way above and beyond
It's close to 10.
the norm.
It probably is, yeah.
So it's up to you guys how you want to proceed. I'm here to support you guys. I think, we could go through these, maybe at another planning commission meeting, the next one where we don't have 10 things, and we could maybe just talk about this. It's like I said, it's up to you guys, in how you want to address it. Like I said, we may have to review this in a few more months or next year. I don't know. This is a very fluid situation. I can tell you right now, as a practicing planner who works for 59 communities, with a team of 5 planners, 6 planners, this is unlike, like I've already mentioned before, and I'll continue to mention it, it's unlike any other thing we've seen. There's never been so many scenario-based stuff, and some folks think it's pretty cut and dry, but it's not. It's a little more dynamic, the short answer is from MTA is meet the state requirements. Here you have, your sample ordinance and everything else that they provided members. But if a project comes in a little smaller, why wouldn't the community want to exercise its rights to address a project the way they want to address it? So I think this is kind of does that for you.
Yeah, I don't see a distinction whether it's 50 megawatts or 10 megawatts or 120 megawatts. To me, I think the setback requirements, the screening requirements, the drainage requirements, the recovery, all that stuff. I don't know why that would change, whether it's 50 acres or 500 acres. I'm just scratching my, but I would like to throw out and suggest that maybe because Alex, you did a lot of work, I waded through it a little bit, but I'd like to give the planners an opportunity to go spend a little more time on what you did and maybe revisit this next month or even in December. I don't care, whatever the consensus of the rest of the group is. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff you did in here.
Well, I mean, maybe I rewrite your zoning ordinance.
Yeah. So I guess that's my suggestion. I don't know what it is.
I agree 100%. I mean, you and I are pretty much in consensus here on this issue. I think it needs to be nailed down and promoted like crazy.
Yeah.
Questions? Do we need to make a motion to put it on the November agenda? No, yeah. All right.
Like I said, right now you guys have something that works already on the books. So I would not panic at all. Okay, unless you know that there's been hundreds of acres tied up in your community with leases, like some other of my clients, where they have that going on just up the road, and a project's on its way. I don't think that's the case, but you have at least something here. So here are some I think general recommendation. I think that would work. And as I learn more and talk with more folks, I'd like to tell you that planning is so black and white. But like as you guys have learned, is like there's some discrepancies in language and what that means and interpretations, and there's a lot of gray area. So it's not like you could have someone sitting here telling you absolutely you have to do this and absolutely you have to do that. Like I said, you guys, I'm just a facilitator or provide professional services. It's your community. You guys make judgment calls, and usually they're pretty regular in terms of what comes in front of you. But times like this, there are times where there is gray. There's always going to be gray, and that's where you have to have, what's the word they use a lot of times is competent people to make decisions, and be stewards for the township, as you guys are on the planning commission. So I can bring you case by case of what I see out there, examples, and best practices, and try to keep you guys out of any trouble.
I think the speaker at your supervisors meeting, Gary, at the fire hall a couple months ago or whenever that was, he was an MTA executive, I think, and he talked about the reason for this was that communities are
Oh,
anti-renewable energy, whatever you want to look at.
100%. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean,
Yeah, and I think if your ordinance reflects that, then you're going to get yourself in trouble. But if your ordinance is more conducive to an applicant taking the path of least resistance, they'd rather go through a local than the state.
well, like I said, Chessing's one. They have a very restrictive ordinance.
Oh, okay.
Extremely restrictive. It almost makes no sense, and I read these every day of my life. So,
Do you have examples? Just a curiosity, what could they possibly?
well, if you have three things on there and they all mean or say different things, there's that gray area. What supersedes the other, right? Well, zoning ordinances do that. So even as you see, like state legislation on passing master plans, there's actually what qualifies 42 or 63. No one knows. I talked to the experts. No one knows. It's kind of like a judgment call. So it's like, let's rear on that side of caution and just keep it simple. And I think that this kind of community wants that. So just keep it simple, keep it clean, keep it straightforward. So, when ordinances repeat themselves, like here's one of the biggest things in zoning works. I don't want to pontificate.
I don't want to get deep into the weeds. I was just curious.
If you have a zoning ordinance and you have a standard, like here's for outdoor storage, must be screened, wonderful. But you talk about outdoor storage again somewhere else in the zoning ordinance, and you say something different about screening, then which one? Then it has to go to the ZBA, and they have to make a decision, right? You could do that. Someone could write something and repeat, interpret, change, and all of a sudden you have 5 different things around one part, and you could repeat that over and over again. All of a sudden the applicant doesn't know what to do. They're coming for you, and you throw this, then you throw that, and you come back with this. All of a sudden you have 2 years of meetings, and that does happen. Okay.
I can see that.
Yeah. So like I said, I don't like that. Zoning ordinances live like that out there. We clean a lot of those up. We have to explain that. You guys, unfortunately, don't have that scenario. So, like I said, you guys can live with what you have. We could look at these things and work it over time. As we learn more, we can change it. And like I said, this is not a zoning ordinance update. This is just a text amendment. This is just one meeting, public hearing, send it up to the township board, and they can approve it. So, and that's the beauty of zoning ordinances. You could just, you have to change things. It's just a living, breathing document. It does not sit in perpetuity. Things will change, new uses, new standards, trends in the community, whatever it is. But what you're trying to do is not just protect your community, but give the opportunity for applicants to come in and invest in your community and raise standard of living and tax base and all that sort of good stuff. So you gotta have that delicate balance. So.
And I guess that's where I see our current ordinance needs some tweaking.
It does, yeah. So I provided the best I can. I spent a little time on it.
Yeah.
So that you guys can kind of start to get an idea and to start reading it. So.
So to me, it's all going to evolve into the ordinance reviews as a result of the master plan being approved. It's all going to, because there's a lot of things in there that need to be.
Well, I'll say this. So one of the big things at the MAP conference, 2 things I think that you guys could use right away is what you already do. No matter what, you can approve plans without a site plan. I know your zoning ordinance requires those things, but you can approve things if you wish to. The state does not require any permitted use to have a site plan, but you do tend to want a site. What is required by state law is that any special land use needs to be accompanied by a site plan. And you guys do that. So I always tell communities that's one thing they make mistakes. I'm not going to name names, but there's times like, it's just a special land use. Just review the special land use standards. Well, what about a site plan? Yeah, we don't have to worry about that. You maybe know what I'm talking about.
It's interesting.
Yes. The other thing I want to say, that the big court case that came out of this past year with Ann Arbor, City of Ann Arbor, an applicant was that this applicant came in, wanted to put like a pretty large commercial use and they're meeting all these zoning ordinance requirements. And the city staff said, look, we're not gonna accept these plans, you gotta come back. There's some historic trees in the back, landmark trees, we're keeping those trees. We don't want this whole site being cleared out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they said, no, we're meeting the same. They came back with new plans and said, we're still meeting your standards, this is our plans. And so the applicant sued the city and they won. The city appealed it and they won. So I'm gonna just really paraphrase. How did they win? Wonderful case, and it's actually quite simple, as you know. A zoning ordinance cannot exist without there being a master plan, right? So even if the zoning ordinance may be deficient on certain aspects or requirements, but you've done a master plan, you've identified things you want to do. Now, City of Ann Arbor's got a lot going on. They have historic trees and parks and all sorts of stuff, right? And not that small communities don't, there's ones that do. But if there's things in your master plan that you've identified to say, these are important to us, or these are our goals, or these are things we want, even though your zoning ordinance may not be strong enough or clear enough language to address the desired output from the master plan, the master plan still has significant weight. So that's where that stands. And so the courts have upheld that landmark case. So you guys have done your master plan, you've identified a lot of these things. Your zoning ordinance is in pretty good shape. There's some things that obviously clear up as Dennis has found over the years. And that's just part of the process. That's just good governance. That's what things you guys should do regularly. Every community does. To what scale, it's always different, right? Some communities need a lot of work, some don't, but yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Alex. And then we'll segue right into the planner report.
That's all I have. Go Tigers. You know what, I'll send, if you guys are interested in training, there's some trainings with Michigan State Extension around solar, they're in person. There's also some trainings for zoning administrator that's in Mount Pleasant, that's, in February. MAP, Michigan Associated of Planning, has trainings coming up that are virtual as well. So if you guys want information, I'd be happy to share that, but Michigan State Extension and MAP are.
I would be interested in the solar, to see what the scope is.
Yeah, it's in Kalamazoo. So, you don't want to travel there.
It's not that far.
Yeah, let's take a look at that.
I just want to see what the scope is and see if it applies.
I have an email, I'll send it out to you guys.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Corey for the engineer's report. Looks like he has.
Project update list for you to review. It's been a little while since I've been here, so some of the things have changed, some are still the same. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it, have any direct questions. Primarily, the two that are that are active now is Pinecrest. They have constructed the road, the base, the asphalt's all in and been approved. They're working on shoulders. Last time we were there, they're working on shoulders and ditching, and then restoration. So I think they're still planning on getting it all buttoned up for winter. I don't think they'll have everything set and ready to build homes over winter, but the road portion of it will be done. They have to do some yard work, restoration of sites in general. I don't have an updated timeline, but I would assume that will probably be, they may be coming in over winter to get final approvals on building sites, but they have a little work to do, but the main heavy lifting's done.
I have a question. Are any of these up against a deadline? Are there any things that are going to expire, or
As far as
is there anything on here that's going to expire that requires any intervention?
I don't have that. I don't generally follow those dates in what we do. I can look into that. I'd have to work with Ida on that.
Okay.
As far as construction, anything that's under construction, there really isn't a deadline. I mean, you have technically a year to start and a year to build it. So I would usually those are fine as long as they're in process. Some of the other ones like the Yakabachi site, there really hasn't been much movement
That's
on
why-
that.
That's done. I mean, that's
Yeah, he
What project is that?
The egg factory, the yellow building.
Pinecrest.
There's
Oh.
gonna be an area to do storage.
Okay.
So that one has expired and done and out.
I will look at that one, but I think that either has or very close to.
It is going to very soon.
September, I thought it was.
Um,
But other than that, it would be, again, the
Country Smokehouse.
Country Smokehouse is one that's just kind of, since I've been here, it's been here. And it's really not a major, well, it's kind of a major thing. It's all functioning and working, but the proposal was to change the detention pond. We've talked about this many times. There just hasn't been any.
That's what piqued my interest, is that this has been on the list for an extensive period of time, as is Mr. Ikabachi's project.
I don't have a,
They've been on here without any movement.
right.
All these other ones have been on here a while. They have
100%
movement.
agree. Yeah. So that would be one you have to check and see what the date time is, and that, again, would be more or less from when the building was completed, would be that, they have the time to construct, a year to do the building, or whenever they complete the building, then they have a kind of follow-up time. That would be where the time of this wouldn't necessarily be from site plan approval. They've started the project. They're gonna come back with as-built and the stormwater detention. So I do a little research on when that was last discussed and the timing of that. I don't have that available. DTE is another one. I know they're complete, I believe, but the township okayed everything, but they just haven't done requested a final and anything yet from our office. There's been talk about it, but we haven't got a request on anything. So we've been going out doing periodic inspections, so we know that they're basically done. It's restored, it looks fine. But that would be a item that'd be buttoned up by hopefully here in the fall, so we can put that to bed. The couple Pinecrest, the capital gravel pit, that is more or less out of the planning commission's realm now. They're scheduled for an annual permit or annual inspection through the board. I can keep that or take it off. Generally, I would take it off. I kind of did it because we haven't really talked about it in some time. No material as of a little over a month ago. We went and took a look at it being moved. They're just balancing, taking it out. The area of concern of contamination from the old orchard, that has been removed and disposed of. That was a key step one. So that was done. We're just working on berms, but the actual material itself has not been moved out. It hasn't been too active because I know Southland's here has been working on other things. But that pit and then the old Bristol pit across the road are scheduled for their annual inspections here in November.
But then we've approved condominiums off Kidder Road for the Bristol pit.
Preliminary.
Preliminary.
Okay, preliminary. They can't go to final until that area is closed out and they get road commission. They have to do some things with road commission for site distance. So
On Kidder Road.
On Kidder Road.
Yeah.
The preliminary is okay on that. They just can't really go much further until everything else is final level.
Okay.
That's such a good point. I can add that on here. Did not have that before. The Jimmy Storage, you can see they're working out there. They have what they need to be working on site. As of, I think the last time I actually went out there and did a walkthrough was about 10 days ago. They did not have their MDOT permit. They have it, it's this, whatever, but they don't have it. So that doesn't really, they're fine with what they're doing. They just can't touch that right away and do any work outside of there. If it becomes an issue, which I've talked to MDOT, it's not an issue on MDOT's part. So I'm assuming they'll get it. They just haven't pulled it, probably because they put the fees up and everything else. But other than that, they have their soil erosion. I've talked to the county. We have copies of the permit, and they're building it, balancing the site right now is what they're doing. They know the scheduled inspection they have to get, so hopefully we stay along with them now.
Excellent. Thank you.
What, I just,
Oh, do you have a
the
question?
SMJ cell tower, nothing on that?
No, they have not, I think they have their plan approval. I think
Right.
They had some paperwork they're going through later, but they have not requested a pre-construction or anything like that.
Not as yet, though. They did send in their checks, so
Yeah, I know it's not saying.
the check's in the mail. You get paid.
So that would be the logical next step. I guess the only other thing that was out there as far as construction wise was Legacy Metals. We haven't been contacted. I know at some point they said they had an issue. We're gonna change. I think they came back to
Yeah,
the
they
planning commission. So
They did it.
and that was a meeting I wasn't here.
Yeah,
So there hasn't been, on my part, there hasn't been any change.
They're
since
under
that.
construction though.
they are, yeah, there's material going up.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's the building department. It's site work. We haven't called for any stuff we do, which is very minor on that project. We do have some site inspection work, but it's very minor.
Okay.
I gotta say, Jimmy's storage construction started, got a lot of attention in the community.
Yeah, it was, yes, it did.
Trying to figure out how to get a Walmart.
You can't really hide that one.
No, you couldn't.
Any other questions for the planner or our engineering? No? We'll move on to Mrs. Pawinski, the zoning board of appeals report. Anything new there?
Nothing. We've not had a meeting, so nothing has been brought in front of us.
And Ms. Ida, zoning and building reports.
Okay, well, Alex, I think you're going to get your wish because if Ventec if Ventec doesn't submit something soon, you've got the whole meeting for to go over your solar.
It's all on you.
Possibly. Yeah. But I haven't received any, anything new coming in, the usual, what do I have to do to grow marijuana? And I say, look at, buy industrial property, go to the village, go to the pier, but, nothing there. And I counted on my calendar, it'd be 63 days in December for the meeting.
December?
It's 60.
Good.
So if the board plans to extend the public hearing, 63 days will be in December.
Thank you.
If I counted my days right, or close enough anyways.
Planning Commission, general comments, concerns, discussion, anything outside of what we've already discussed? It's about 8:31. I would accept a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? No? Good. Meeting's adjourned at 8:33.
You did this online? Self-paced online?
I did the Citizen Planner Program. Yes, sir. That is the one.
I'm finding it. I'm gonna try to get in there.
I did it online,
Should be
which
able
is
to
nice
set
because
the
you go back and forth. I didn't understand this, or we talked about this further down the line, but you wanted to go back 3